All right, it's that time again. Let's tier and rank some things in the world of movies. Last week was Marvel. This week, it's the highest grossing movies of all time, the 70 movies that made more money at the box office than any other movie. What are the best movies? What are the worst movies? In the comments below, debate. Tell me where I'm right, tell me where I'm wrong. And as always, hit that subscribe button. That's very important. Hit the bell icon to make sure you get notified whenever we release new videos. And of course, give the old thumbs up. Give that like. That's a huge help. And reminder, best movie website on the internet, movierankings.net. The best resource when it comes to movies, movierankings.net. It is our website here at Lights Camera Barstool that if you have not been to and you're a movie fan, you are missing out. You can find my scores, the scores of my co-host Ken Jack as well. You can filter and sort movies by streaming platform where they're streaming. You can filter and sort by subgenres, movie universes, sports, holidays. There is no movie website in the world, I promise you this, where you can filter and sort and find movies in such a specific manner as you can on movierankings.net. If you're looking for just a list of rom-coms from the 2010s, bang, you can go in there and do that. If you want a heist movie that came from just 1988 through 1992, easy, you can do that too. You can find out where they're streaming, where you can rent them, where you can watch them. So many options on movierankings.net. We're trying to get user profiles soon, too, so you can rate and rank your own movies. Check it out today. All right. 70 movies, the highest grossing. It sounds like a lot, but also a lot of them are going to be grouped together because they're part of like franchises and universe. We'll skip around. We're not going to go F to S. We're going to skip around by kind of like groupings of movies here. As a reminder, I rank every movie on a scale of 0 to 100. This is not a straight up ranking of what is the best. Favorite and best are not the same thing. My favorite movie is Ocean's 11. I don't think it's the best movie of all time. So this is going to be a bit of a mix of both here today. A little bit of what's the best, a little bit of what's my favorite, combine them, and that's this tier list. Let's get some Marvel movies out of the way. I already did this last week, so you can see my more like firm breakdown of Marvel stuff. The Avengers, that's an A-tier movie. Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, those are S-tier movies. Up there, it's the best MCU movies, some of the best comic book movies ever made. Avengers Age of Ultron, I'll throw in the C tier. Very fun movie, but fundamentally, it's not great. It's not great by any means. Black Panther's an A tier movie to me. Captain America Civil War, I'll throw in the B tier. Captain Marvel, last week I talked about this. I think Captain Marvel gets a little too much hate, but that's a C tier movie as well. What are some other MCU movies on this list? Spider-Man, Far From Home. I like it quite a bit, but I'll put it on the B tier. In terms of like favorite Spider-Man movies, Spider-Man Homecoming and Spider-Man No Way Home, which I think No Way Home, like I've said it, No Way Home I don't think is as good as Far From Home by like a hair in terms of like quality of movie, but the nostalgia factor just absolutely wins today on that. Iron Man 3 is a D tier movie. I don't like Iron Man 3. I don't like the fucking twist and all that shit. Not my favorite. Spider-Man 3 is an F-tier movie. Sam Raimi, the director, hates the movie. Like, I don't like. Is there really anything else to say after that? I think I covered all the Marvel movies. If I see one on here, I'll jump to it. But let's start off with Aladdin. 2019 Aladdin. This movie got a lot of flack for the Will Smith, it's very topical, the Will Smith genie. I think Will Smith did a really good job as the genie. It's an impossible role to take on, to play the genie in a movie that was kind of around that time where all the live action stuff was getting crapped on. People were saying, oh, these live action remakes are cash grabs, they're soulless. This was a fun movie. I think Jafar left a lot to be desired. But I think everyone else did a pretty good job in their respective roles. I don't know. I think this movie gets a fair amount of flack unfairly, starting with Will Smith. I think the initial look at Will Smith was terrible. And then after that, I think when the movie actually came out, he looked pretty good. I think the dance numbers and music were good. They were unique as well. They were enjoyable. They were fun. Mena Masad as Aladdin was solid. I think Naomi Scott's a pretty damn good actress. She was great as Jasmine. It's not, you know what? I'm gonna be bold. We're gonna be bold. I'm gonna throw it on the B tier. I like Aladdin. I think it's a fun movie. It's colorful. It's bright. Yeah, I think that movie gets way too much flack. Guy Ritchie did a nice job with it. Yeah. Alice in Wonderland. Now let's give a little back to Disney or take a little away. That's an F tier movie. Off-putting, creepy. Johnny Depp was very creepy as the Mad Hatter. The sequels were terrible too. He ended up being the Cheshire Cat, I think, in Into the Woods, right? No, he was the wicked. He was the big bad wolf. Big bad wolf, but still creepy. This movie had like a hookah or weed smoking caterpillar played by Alan Rickman. I mean, that's a legendary character, but it was Alan Rickman, so that saved the day a little bit. But I do not like that movie. I don't think there's any other Tim Burton movies on this list, but that one is a big stinker. DC, we haven't done any DC movies. Aquaman, fun movie. I'll throw Aquaman on the B tier. I think Jason Momoa is a perfect Aquaman, a perfect 21st century Aquaman in an era and at a time where Aquaman was like, when you think of Aquaman, what do you think about? First of all, you think about like SpongeBob, right? Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. And then you also think of like Family Guy's portrayal of Aquaman, who's like this lame character. And honestly, Jason Momoa is pretty badass in the role. It's a fun movie. James Wan's a really cool director. There's some cool, neat scenes that kind of separated it a bit. I like Abdul Mateen. Patrick Wilson is pretty good in this as well. Julie Andrews supplies the voice of like the big monster at the end, right? Which I don't even know the name of the monster. That shows, I guess I'm not the expert that I thought I was. But Julie Andrews is in it. That's enough right there. I'll throw it on the B tier. Aquaman's a fun movie. We'll save Avatar. We'll save Avatar. We'll go back to Disney live action. Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast 2017. I think the movie's aged well. There's supposed to be a spinoff from this movie with Luke Evans, right? Yeah, Luke Evans and Josh Gad as Gaston and LeFou. But I think it got delayed. They were fun. I thought he was a really good Luke. He's a really good Luke Evans. Luke Evans is a very good Gaston. I thought Emma Watson was good in the role as Belle as well. The extra music, I think that's where maybe a lot of these Disney live action things, it's the extra songs that really do them in. But I liked Emma Watson singing the opening song, which the title is it Just Belle? What's the opening song in that movie? I forget what it is. Is it just There Goes the Big... It's just... I don't know what the fuck it is. It's just Belle. It's just Belle. Shows you how much I know. It's just Belle. The song that stunk was the Dan Stevens Beast song. They added an extra song. It was not very good. It was not very good at all. But everything else was enjoyable. Like I think the big problem with that movie is it lacked a color palette. It lacked pizzazz. I think that's where Aladdin takes the cake for a lot of the live action Disney stuff. Is maybe it's not as good of a movie or as solid as some people want. The fill-in's weak. The Beauty and the Beast, the color palette was so muted and bland when it didn't need to be in certain spots, and even like the vibrant yellow dress, like it didn't pop like it should have. I'll put Beauty and the Beast in the C tier. Music was good. They got great voice actors in that movie. Bohemian Rhapsody. Bohemian Rhapsody is not a bad movie. I don't think it's a movie that stinks, but I think it's an incredibly blah movie. If I gave it like a solid grade, I think it's a 7. I think I've called it the most 70 out of 100 movie of all time. It's the most C- movie ever. I'll put it on the D tier. I think Rami Malek is very good in the role of Freddie Mercury. I don't know why that movie got as much. I know why it got a lot of love, because he played a big time artist or Hollywood or music industry star. And that's what the Academy loves. That's why it got a lot of hype. Why it got a lot of play. Should have never nominated for Best Picture. There was a music movie that came out around Bohemian Rhapsody, or I guess the next year, Rocket Man, Elton John. If you don't like musicals, you don't like that movie. But man, Rocket Man was so good. That was so good. It was so creative. It was different. It was dark. And I get that Freddie Mercury's not alive, so they couldn't quite make the movie that some people wanted. Sacha Baron Cohen was supposed to play Freddie Mercury. That's a movie everyone wants to see, but you're just not going to get it. Bohemian Rhapsody for me, it just never did anything. I won't call it an F. I think some people probably expect me to put it on the F tier because I've crapped the movie plenty over the years, but It's a D. It's a if you really want to see these performances, you can just go on YouTube and see actual Queen perform these songs. It's a little life hack. Let's do Bond next. Let's do the James Bond movies. Spectre. Now we'll go. Okay, Spectre. I'm gonna put Spectre. This is not so. Spectre's. I'm gonna make an F, and here's why. Spectre was a huge letdown, a huge letdown, because and I'll rank Skyfall. Oh man, I'm gonna put Skyfall on the S tier. Skyfall is that good. Casino Royale, I think, is the best Bond movie ever made. Skyfall is right there at number 2, and I'm going to put Skyfall on the S tier. And that is why I'm going to lead that into why Spectre was such a bummer. You had a big-time character, or big-time actor who people wanted to see in the villain with Christoph Waltz as Blofeld, and it just didn't deliver. It never quite packed the punch that Skyfall had. And it's surprising because if you look back on it, I feel like in a couple years, people may forget that movie was also directed by Sam Mendes, who directed Skyfall and did such a damn good job with it. That movie just didn't quite have the it factor that Skyfall had. Skyfall was so emotional, and it kind of did feel like a wrapping up of the character. And that is, I think, something that ends up hurting it. You just felt like, man, this is the conclusion, right? Like M died. It just had like such a great feel to it. And it, you're at Bond's childhood home, and there was so much to it that seemed to really tie it all together. And then Spectre just kind of extended it in a way that I never truly believed. Like it was 3 years after. It just felt like such a letdown. And even when I walked out of it, I didn't want to believe that it was so, I guess, mediocre, right? Like like Blofeld was behind everything, and I never, yeah. It just never truly did it for me. I liked Ray Fiennes in the new role heading the MI6. Dave Bautista had kind of a cool moment. I do like Ben Winshaw's Q, but again, you're getting all that in Skyfall anyway. And I never bought into the Lea Seydoux, Madeline Swan relationship with Bond. That was never something that I believed in, which became a bigger problem in the most recent Bond movie, No Time to Die. I never liked the way that really wrapped up. And then Skyfall, Javier Bardem is creepy as shit in his role. I always thought Killing M was a great wrap to the Judi Dench story, and it packed a punch. It meant something. I really, that movie holds up. Skyfall, but Spectre was a letdown, and that's why. Is it an F movie at a rating? No, it's probably closer to a C. But I think because of the letdown, I just didn't love it. Also, the poster for the movie, had that skull on it, and that reminded me of Live and Let Die, which I love. The movie Live and Let Die. It was like the Bond movie I always rented. And what's the character? Baron Samedi, is that how you say it? He has that like that voodoo look with the skull and shit, and I've always thought that was going to be what they did with Spectre, and it wasn't. It was just like in the beginning, the cool scene in the beginning. So that's where I'll put Spectre. Other franchises here. Are there any one-offs? Well, let's do Despicable Me. Despicable Me, the first Despicable Me is awesome. Awesome movie. A lot of fun. Cool music. Great Steve Carell voice role. Not on here, though. Then it blew up. Despicable Me 2. I like Despicable Me 2. I thought it was a very, very solid sequel. Not great. Didn't hold really that much of a candle to the first one, but I wouldn't say anything bad about Despicable Me 2. Despicable Me 3 is not good. Not a good movie, but I'm going to put it on the D tier. I'm going to put it on. I'm going to put it on the D tier because Minions goes on the F. It's a franchise that started the Minions culture and all this shit. Isn't there another Minions, The Rise of Gru? Did that come out? Did that movie? I think did I see that movie? I think I saw that movie. No, it's not. It's not out. It's still coming out. July. The movie's been delayed so much because of COVID. The Minion stuff is so fucking annoying. Minions are great characters in like very small doses, especially in the first Despicable Me movie. After that, oh my god, I get why they're popular. If I was a kid growing up with the Minions, I would love them. But man, oh man, brutal. Just not funny. It's not that they're not funny; they're just too much because Minions are really funny in Despicable Me. They're great. They're great characters. A movie just about Minions. Oh my god, it's just noise. Another animated movie. We'll do Shrek 2. Shrek 2 is a B tier movie. Shrek 1's an A tier movie, big time. If Shrek was on here, it would be an A movie. Shrek 2's a lot of fun and a really good follow. Puss in Boots, great character addition. The Fairy Godmother, Prince Charming, all that. It doesn't quite live up to the first Shrek, but Shrek 2 is great. Shrek has become such a meme that I feel like they often forget that the first Shrek is like an iconically great animated movie. Because the Shrek is it's just meme culture, right? Like it's just made fun. Like Shrek is made fun of or used as a way to make fun of people. I forget it's like really good. Ice Age, Dawn of the Dinosaurs. These characters need to die? That's an F tier movie. That's my Ray Romano impression. I mean, just go kick the bucket. Let's get out of here. The first Ice Age is great. There's so many Ice Age movies now. There's spin-offs with Scrat. The little what is it? Squirrel. I really don't have much more to say on Ice Age. Dawn of the Dinosaurs. Just an incredibly nothing burger of a movie. All right, we're getting closer and closer to the meat here. People are looking at this and they're staring down Star Wars and Harry Potter. We'll go to Titanic next. Titanic's an A tier movie. Do I think the movie gets a rating that high? No, I think it's in the B's, high B's. But Titanic is very iconic. And an iconic in the way that Avatar, which is a C-tier movie, is not. Avatar is not a bad movie. Avatar gets a lot of hate. I've come around on Avatar. I'm excited for the sequels. Why would you not be? Also, there's a rumor that Avatar 2 is going to have a trailer with Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness, which, I mean, it's coming out in December. I would hope they have some footage. Avatar was an incredible experience when you first see it. It was unbelievable. Also, Avatar Land and Disney's neat. And if you go to Avatar Land and Disney and you ask the cast members, the Disney employees about the movie Avatar, they refer to it as a documentary. It's very satisfying when that happens. Avatar just doesn't have the cultural impact. It doesn't belong anywhere above a C tier. It actually gets dropped below because it did have that stretch of just being an annoying movie. But I've come around on it now. And I think James Cameron's a big. I think Avatar 2 is going to be awesome. He's going to make a shitload of money. Titanic, though, is iconic. The music, James Horner. I mean, obviously Celine Dion, Kate Winslet, Leo. Every Titanic. Even if you don't love Titanic, in terms of the highest grossing movies, that is an absolute A tier movie because it's top 5. I mean, it held the record for so long. The Finding movies, aka Finding Nemo, which is an A tier movie. Finding Nemo is delightful, tear jerking, awesome characters. That's the thing. A Pixar movie, when they can pepper in so many fun, different characters, good message. Finding Dory is a D tier movie. Finding Dory is not even bad, but it just didn't do enough to separate itself. And you know what? I'm going to throw Incredibles 2. I like Incredibles 2, but I'm throwing it on the C tier as well. Incredibles 2, quality movie. That's a B tier movie in terms of just straight quality. If we're talking a little favoritism here, I'm dropping Incredibles 2 to a C. Because again, it did a little more to differentiate itself, and it separated the years and kind of explained things. And it did leave off where the first one did, but it was satisfying, the gap between years for Incredibles. But Incredibles 2 and Finding Dory, they just didn't do enough to separate themselves, which you can say about, and here's a good segue, Toy Story 3. Toy Story 3 is an S tier movie. Toy Story 3 absolutely, without question, belongs on the top tier. You want to talk about an incredible way to end a franchise. And Toy Story 4 is a good movie too. But I'm going to put it on the B tier. I'm dropping Despicable Me to the C tier. Despicable Me 2 to the C tier. Toy Story 4 is very solid and a good refinishing of the franchise. It's just wholly unnecessary. And it is an A-quality movie. It won an Oscar. It's very enjoyable. I think the Lightyear movie is going to be great. But Toy Story 3 is S tier. Some think it's the best Toy Story. I don't think it is. I think it is one of the greatest animated movies ever made. I think the original Toy Story is a perfect movie. It's 100 out of 100. Toy Story 3 is great. I mean, the end scene, everyone talks about the end scene, but the entire movie, like the side characters, the Ken doll, Michael Keaton, Lotso, there's just so much to love about Toy Story 3, and it was so perfectly executed after a long gap. That's the thing. It still felt different. It felt like they continued to move the story along 1, 2, and 3. And I truly love Toy Story 3. That is a fantastic movie. Very deserving of the S tier. And you know what's an A tier movie as well? Is Zootopia. I'm pretty sure Zootopia won an Oscar for Best Animated Picture. Zootopia was fresh. It was different. The characters were fun. Obviously, people remember the sloth, but it was a cool story. Had some nice mixed-in elements, like some mafia mobster elements. Zootopia was like a brand new world, and these Disney animated and Pixar movies, when you get lost in them, they're just that much better. Zootopia is definitely up there. Are there any other animated? Frozen 2. Frozen, I'm going to put on the B tier. Frozen 2, I'm going to put on the D tier as well. The music didn't quite hit as much. Frozen's music is better than the movie itself, right? Like, I know people are sick of Let It Go. I mean, it's been so long at this point, who cares? The music is what kept Frozen to where it was. Otherwise, like, it's solid. Like, I think it's definitely one tier below Zootopia in terms of the Walt Disney Animated Studio movies. The music was great. Frozen 2 is okay. They had like that power ballad in Frozen 2, but I'm gonna drop it below. I don't enjoy Frozen 2 upon rewatch quite as much as maybe a Frozen or even like a Despicable Me 2, Incredibles 2. So I'll throw it on the D tier with Finding Dory. Again, you got to do more on your sequels. You got to change things up. You got to move it along in a way that feels fresh. And I know that's crazy to say about kids' movies, but that's their fault for setting that precedent. Like, that's their fault for making Soul and Up and Inside Out and WALL-E, where you know they can take it to another level. Again, I know it's a kids movie, but Disney and Pixar proved time and time again that you can make a kids movie, but also make it impactful for people beyond that age. So I'll hold it to that standard. Jumanji, that's a solo movie on here. Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle is a C movie. That movie had no business being as enjoyable and fun as it ended up being. The trailer was like kind of a joke. People laughed at it. They said, you're spitting on, the great work of Robin Williams in the original. But honestly, I thought it did a nice job. It honored things, had a good wrap up, had a good storyline, fun adventure movie. It was concise. It was paced well. It's a C-level movie. I have nothing bad to say about Jumanji. It's not great. It's not the original, but nothing bad to say about it. The Jungle Book, speaking of Disney live-action movies, The Jungle Book is an A-tier movie. That is the best Disney live-action movie. There's so many great voices in this movie. It looks fantastic. The music is great, and it pops. It's definitely more muted colors, but this movie pops. And it has a feel and a vibe to it where you're like, you know what? It makes sense that this was a live action movie. Obviously, there's a human being in this. That's a huge difference compared to Lion King. That is, which I'm gonna throw Lion King on the C tier. I don't hate the Lion King remake that much. I think again, it's a vibrancy that's missing compared to the original, which is an S tier movie. Lion King's 100 out of 100. The original. So I'll throw Lion King on the C tier. I'll be a little controversial. I'm sure some people think it belongs in the D tier, but I'll throw it on the C. I don't hate it that much. Nah, I'm a sucker. I'm going to put it on the D tier. I actually don't hate Lion King. I think I have it in the B's. Like, I enjoyed it. The music is still great. I think the voice work, I think it looks amazing. But again, you're missing the vibrant pop to the jungle and to that world and that land. Even when they go in with Timon and Pumbaa, like, I get they're in like this wasteland, right? When Scar takes over, it never really has that like, oh man, this movie really has life to it. They should have really towed the line between being real and being cartoony. Like, it needed a little more cartooniness to it. The Lion King. Other movies on here that are by themselves and not part of a larger group. I guess Joker's the last one. Joker, very fundamentally sound movie. Not something I love, though. So I'm going to put Joker on the B tier. Is Joker a much better movie than Aquaman? Yes. Do I enjoy it more than Aquaman? No. So it evens out. I don't know if I'll ever watch Joker again, but the performance is unbelievable. It's unsettling. I think they crushed it with that movie. I think it got a lot of nominations, and I think it deserved all of it. And I think Joaquin Phoenix did deserve the Best Actor award. But I don't love it. It's not a favorite of mine. It's definitely up there. It's better than a lot of like MCU movies, but I don't enjoy it quite as much. The Fast franchise. I have a soft spot for I used to have a soft spot for the Fast and Furious franchise. Look, I'm not like the original Fast and Furious like supporter, but I like Fast Five, even Fast Five is the best one. Six was whatever, Furious Seven, but like that whole stretch, you were like, oh shit, these movies are actually improving, and it wraps up with Furious Seven. And you know what? I'm gonna put it on the A tier. I'm gonna A tier that, and I'm gonna put Fate of the Furious on the F tier because it shouldn't exist. Which I hate when people say this shouldn't exist. This is unnecessary. But I'm going to say now I'm going to be a hypocrite. But I only say that because Furious 7 was, oh my God, it was wrapped up perfectly. If we're talking highest grossing blockbuster movies and getting the job done, Furious 7 had people in tears. A movie that was in a franchise where the first thing was about stealing fucking VCRs off the back of a truck had people in tears. And it was earned too. It was earned. They didn't just like cheaply play off the death of Paul Walker. They put together a fun, ridiculous movie that actually had like heart and like a soul to it. And then Fate of the Furious was just like, it just went downhill. And Fate of the Furious is not bad. It's not bad. The most recent one, F9, the Fast Saga, is not good. But Fate of the Furious, I'm gonna put it on the F tier. Nah, it belongs in the D tier. That's not fair. Because if the F9, the Fast Saga was on here, it would be F, and Fate of the Furious is better than that. But man, is it a huge step down from Furious 7. Furious 7 was so surprising, and they it's not the best one. The Fast 5 is, but man, it had everything working for it. So I really enjoy Furious 7. Emotional movie, great end scene, just such an all-time end scene. Next up, we're gonna end with Harry Potter and Star Wars, obviously. Transformers, are they both F? Dark of the Moon is the last. Dark of the Moon is ridiculous. What a ridiculous movie. So I like Revenge of the Fallen. And I actually think if the original Transformers movie had been in the top 70, I'm gonna be honest, that's a B or A tier movie. Because I'm talking fun. The original Transformers movie, the first live action, I will defend. That is a fun movie. Yes, it's a little much at times, the noise, whatever. If you don't like that, I get it. I don't like a lot of the Transformers movies either. But I think the first one is well made. It looks good. It's not over the top and ridiculous. Revenge of the Fallen starts to do that. Revenge of the Fallen would be like a C tier movie. Maybe it'd be a D tier movie. Dark of the Moon was stupid, and I thought it was gonna be so cool because like the moon was obviously the moon was involved. They had like astronauts and shit. Wasn't this is the one with Frances McDormand's in this movie. John Malkovich, which a bunch of like Coen Brothers actors are in this movie. Turturro, though he was in the original as well. Dark of the Moon, not good. And then Age of Extinction is the first. Is the first of the Mark Wahlberg movies. So this is tough too, I will say, because I moved up Fate of the Furious because if F9, the Fast Saga, was on here, I would have had it in an F tier. The Last Night Transformers, I would have that below F tier. So I'm not going to bump up either Transformers movie to a D because if like the worst one was on here, I would have had it on there. I would have just made a new tier. I would have made a like bottom of the barrel tier. Transformers: The Last Night's one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. I don't even have like I could spend 30 minutes talking about it. It is an absolute abomination of a movie, and I feel better saying that even after saying how much I like the original Transformers, because like I'll defend the original Transformers, but I'll defend it as much as I'll say Transformers: The Last Night is like one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. It's one of the worst big blockbusters ever made. Jurassic Park, that's an S tier movie. I mean, like, do I have to say It's a better movie than Titanic. Like, Titanic, I know I just said things that describe Titanic too, but I think Jurassic Park is a better movie than Titanic. Jurassic World's a C tier movie. I'll give it a little credit. Like, it's fun, but it's not memorable. Doesn't do anything. Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, that's an F. That's just because I'm a hater, I think. Whatever. Not memorable. Like, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom makes Jurassic World memorable. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, dumb movie. I hope Dominion's good. I don't believe it will be. I'd be shocked if Jurassic World Dominion was good. It just it was the highest grossing movie of all. I guess domestically, right? It didn't, domestically, because Avatar obviously was, but it was. I mean, it broke records. It was a huge deal. But it's Jurassic World is kind of whatever. It's okay. I'm sure I'm being unfair. I'm sure it should be in the B tier. But Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, that's an absolute F. Like, just how many Indominus, Credominus Rexes can we make? How many fake dinosaurs can we make where it's like, all right, let's just end the franchise? And I get why they make these movies, because I'm about to talk about a franchise that is an absolute cash grab. People are like, well, what are they going to do? Not make money? Of course they're going to make money. The Hobbit had no business being 3 movies. And I think Desolation of Smaug, I'll throw on the D tier as being better than the other 2, but The Hobbit and then the third one, The Battle of the Five Armies, those are F tier movies. Stinky movies. Should have been 1 movie. Okay, I get it. They made money. Good for them. I'm glad they made money. Should have been 1 movie. It is the equivalent of breaking up The Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, and Return of the King into 3 movies each. If you would have gone by the same logic to break up The Hobbit into 3 movies, you would have broken up Lord of the Rings trilogy into 9 movies. Like, that's how ridiculous and stretched out thin it is. The characters are just nothing. They're nothing characters that nobody gives a shit about at all. It tries to play up some the same things that you get in the original movies or in the Lord of the Rings trilogy of character development and storyline. And again, payoffs. The payoffs in the Lord of the Rings movies. I mean, the Lord of the Rings is the greatest trilogy of all time. Those are all S tier movies, easily. If you made me tier those 3, Return of the King is an S. If you made me not put them all in the same tier, Return of the King is an S. Fellowship, 2 Towers, probably 2 Towers A, Fellowship B. It doesn't matter. Guess what? I don't have to do that, so I'm not going to do it. They're S tier movies. It's the greatest trilogy of all time. I do a rewatch every year, extended. It's unbelievable. They're incredible movies. And I get that The Hobbit couldn't be that, but I also don't really cut it that much slack. You're telling me that movies made years after that had a huge budget couldn't at least capture some of that magic? You couldn't at least make it work a little bit? And I get there's some problems or things you can bring up that kind of explain why the movies were made the way they were. But no, it's not an excuse for just dull nothing characters with no payoff, no development, boring action. The action's incredible in Lord of the Rings, but they also have moments of to breathe and to appreciate and care about. You care about every fucking character. The end of Return of the King, it's an hour long, and you don't care because it's all worth it. It's all been building up to that. And The Hobbit, none of it's rewarding. I really, really do not like the Hobbit movies. Pirates of the Caribbean. The original Pirates of the Caribbean is an A movie. And I'm going to put Dead Man's Chest on the B tier. Because I really like Bill Nighy's Davy Jones. Davy Jones still looks unreal, by the way. If you went into a Best Buy within the 2 or 3 years after Dead Man's Chest came out, every Best Buy used this as the Blu-ray player example, Dead Man's Chest. And the scene, it looks like a soap opera because it's the Blu-ray high definition. You're like, holy shit, why does this look so weird? It looked so crisp. And that Davy Jones special effect still rules. Still looks amazing. Not as great of a movie as the first, but I think it worked and it was fun. At World's End, Pirates of the Caribbean, the third one, is the longest movie I've ever seen in my life. That movie would not end. And it was a big CGI, top of the ship sword fight battle. You're just like, I'm done with this. It's just too much. I love the Davy Jones character, but at that point, you're just like, just wrap this up already. Let's get this. Which is the case for a lot of these movies on here. It's like, let's get the show on the road. That movie took forever. But then they said, hey, let's make another one. And that next one's an F tier. On Stranger Tides, And then Dead Men Tell No Tales was the next one. Both those movies are like, I think I gave On Stranger Tides almost a 10 out of 100. I think it's an 11 out of 100. The one after that's even worse, the Javier Bardem one. But this one, the Ian McShane Blackbeard, just again, it's just you've lost the charm of the characters. And I get it. Make the money, make the big bucks, go for it. And I don't blame anyone involved in making movies. Making movies is very hard to do, but the enjoyment of these characters just down the fucking tubes, down the tubes. Let's go Batman. Dark Knight is an S tier movie. It's the greatest comic book movie ever made. It is the best paced movie I've ever watched in my life. And I think a lot of people, when you think about that, can agree. It never has a moment where it stops and stalls. That movie just keeps going and going and going and going. And it is fucking exhilarating. It's one of the greatest theater experiences of my life. It's got unbelievable performances, especially obviously from Heath Ledger. That's an A tier movie. I'll throw Dark Knight Rises on the B tier. I've been unfair to Dark Knight Rises over the years. Something about the scale of that movie never really connected with me. I like the smaller scale stuff of Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. And I know like the Joker's plan is larger scale. It's going to blow up some fucking ships. But Dark Knight Rises is always kind of, I don't know. It felt like it was like, all right, Batman Begins, Dark Knight, and then boom, Dark Knight Rises is like so beyond what The Dark Knight was in terms of like scale and size. But I still like it. It's still good. It's just, it's not A for me. It's not an A tier movie. I kind of want to put it on the A tier. The more I'm saying, I feel like it's an A tier. It's like low A tier. Yeah, because I like it more than Joker. I'm going to put it on the A tier. But I think it's like kind of between. If there was like an A.5 or B.5 tier, that's kind of where it would be. Because for me, I just don't get lost in that world as much as I did with Dark Knight. That leaves us with Harry Potter and Star Wars. I'll do Star Wars last. Pissing people off. Harry Potter. Let's go right down the row. And Prisoner of Azkaban is actually not in the top 70. It's like top 80, but I put it in here because let's just put all the Harry Potter movies. Sorcerer's Stone, still fun for what it is. Still a fun, enjoyable, basically kids movie, right? The acting isn't bad, but for their age, it's like okay, and like they're still not overly confident with like mediocre acting where it kind of ruins things. So I'm going to put Sorcerer's Stone or Philosopher's Stone if you're watching in a different country. I'm going to put it on the B tier. I'm going to put Chamber of Secrets, though, on the D tier. I think this is where things get a little wonky with the kids. This is the worst acting, I think, out of any movie. I think Emma Watson, Rupert Grint, and Daniel Radcliffe were like too confident as young kids, and I think it didn't play with their acting. I think it didn't shine through, and it made it a little clunky and awkward. I never loved Chamber of Secrets. After that, Prisoner of Azkaban. Prisoner of Azkaban is an A-tier Harry Potter movie. There's 2 A-tier Harry Potter movies. Azkaban, Alfonso Cuarón. That's a movie that I think I didn't love as much when I first saw it. Older I've gotten, I've enjoyed it more and more. I'll throw it on the A tier. It's just so creative and so different and so fun. And any movie that nails time travel gets a big thumbs up from me. The next one would be Goblet of Fire. Goblet of Fire is fun. That's a B tier movie. Nah. I'm going to say C tier, actually, because I hate Barty Crouch Jr. I don't give a shit. I don't care about Barty Crouch Jr. I don't care about like the side stuff. The thing that makes this movie better than I think it probably is, because like the Triwizard, all that, like it's cool, but it doesn't blow me away. Ray Fiennes as Voldemort is so fucking good. And his introduction is absolute money. Almost enough to put it on the B tier. We'll talk about Voldemort in a second. Order of the Phoenix, I'm going to put on the C tier as well. But the end of that movie is also incredible because the fight between Dumbledore and Voldemort is the best moment out of any of the movies. The rest of the movie I don't love. It's a little corny. It gets kind of boring in spots. I don't love some of the character stuff. But man, that end fight, ooh, that's one of the best fight scenes out of any movie on this list. B tier for Half-Blood Prince, because I'll tell you what, The more Alan Rickman Snape, the better. This is where the movies, and I get why, like they're more, depressing and dark. The coloring of these movies gets a little too muted and a little too bland. And I know if you're not like a technical side of things person, like I get it. Like, it's not, I'm someone who loves like all tiny aspects and technical sound and all that shit. But I think even if you're not like, I get why the mood and tone has changed, but does it have to be that like drab and dreary? Deathly Hallows Part 2 or Part 1, I do not like. I know some people really like this movie because it's personal. I think it's boring. I think it does nothing for me. I think it just lags. A tier, Deathly Hallows Part 2. Ralph Fiennes as Voldemort is so good. I think everything in this movie pays off. I do a rewatch of Harry Potter's every year. It's, again, same thing with the Furious 7 and same thing with Return of the King. Like, everything is earned in that movie. I think it ends well, even though it ends a little. The people don't love like the aged up scene, whatever. It has a nice wrap. It has a nice ending. The fight is worth it. The buildup of years of the fight and seeing that, and just Ralph Fiennes commands Harry Potter. His voice acting is so good in that role, and his choice to do that like whisper with Voldemort is so menacing. And this is crazy to say because Voldemort's like one of the most famous villains in the history of fiction. But like I don't think he gets enough credit, Ralph Fiennes, for that role. Like that role in terms of just like the movie version itself is so good. He is so creepy and so terrifying. And the scene where Harry's in the forest and he kills Harry initially, so good. So good. It brings me to Star Wars. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, if you don't know. Big. When I'm back in New York and I'm doing these, you'll see all the Star Wars toys behind me if you've never seen it before. I'm a Star Wars freak, obsessed. Love everything about it. Most of the Star Wars movies are not good. Like, it just is what it is. I enjoy a lot of them. I enjoy Phantom Menace. You know what, though? Phantom Menace, D-tier movie. I'm sorry. It's boring as shit. It is a boring movie. I know the music is incredible. The music, it's S-tier music. The Darth Maul fight, whatever. That whole scene is so long and boring. The space battle, boring. The fight of the Gungans versus the battle droids, boring. The Darth Maul fight is cool. It's a little over choreographed. They're dancing, like it's not raw. My favorite lightsaber duel is Return of the Jedi. It's raw. It packs a punch in a way that you don't feel like you're watching that was rehearsed. Where the Darth Maul, Qui-Gon, and Obi-Wan fight feels rehearsed. The music is great. But if there was like a mediocre track of music over that, would people really love it? I don't know. Rogue One. Rogue One, I'm going to put on the B tier. I know people have been doing this thing where they say this is like the best Star Wars movie of the Disney era. I've never quite understood that. I think Rogue One's good. I like Rogue One. It's fun. A lot of nostalgia. It gets a little too... Hey, Star Wars, remember that? Ooh, it's Star Wars, remember that? Like, it gets a little too self-referential. And kind of the C-3PO R2-D2 thing is like one of the most stop dead in its tracks moments of any of these like big blockbuster, like franchise tentpole movies. Rogue One's fine. You don't care about the characters, and that's part of the problem of doing a movie set in the timeline where you know exactly what's going to happen. The space battle is one of the best Star Wars space battles. It actually probably is the best Star Wars space battle. No, Return of the Jedi is. This is right up there, though. Music cues, all that. Michael Giacchino did the score, right? Am I wrong on that? He filled in because I think they ended up not going with. Obviously there was John Williams themes involved in it. Yeah, Michael Giacchino, who just obviously did the Batman, which was unbelievable. Did No Way Home too. Spider-Man No Way Home, Up, Ratatouille, pretty good movies. Yeah. Rogue One, good. B tier movie, but it's not an A tier for me. You know what is an A tier? Force Awakens. Force Awakens is awesome. I don't know what the goalpost. The goalpost moving on the prequels is fucking crazy to me. Those are boring, lame movies. Phantom Menace, not fun. Attack of the Clones, just like schlock, like in a bad way. And I think Revenge of the Sith is horribly overrated. It's much better than the first two. It's better than Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace. But like people hated these movies, hated them, and all of a sudden they like them now. And I'm sorry, I don't accept the Clone Wars made them better thing. I don't. I think the Clone Wars series is awesome. I think the movies still stink. I think they're still not very good. But Force Awakens is a blast. And the goalposts have moved in the opposite direction of Force Awakens. I feel like people drag Force Awakens down. Yeah, it's a bit of a retread of the first movie, but you know what? New characters, they're fun, they're engaging, sounds great. I like Force Awakens. F tier, Rise of Skywalker. And I'm putting it on the F tier because I think Last Jedi is an A tier movie. I think some of the humor is stupid. Yes. I think the Finn storyline, not great. I think this movie is a B rating. I think it is high 80s. I've soured on the movie a little more over the years. I still love it, though. I love The Last Jedi. I think this movie did what other Star Wars properties have not wanted to do, and that is move in a different direction. And that's why Rise of Skywalker is on the fucking F tier. Because you know what? They just basically retcon shit. They just said, nah, never mind. I think the idea of setting it up that we're going to have a very similar, like, symmetrical story to A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi with, like, the Puppet Master, Snoke, and a new Vader and Kylo. I thought them just cutting the strings and killing Snoke was so fucking cool. You know how many characters we didn't know shit about in Star Wars before action figures and video games? I don't need to know everything about Snoke. I didn't need Rey to be a Skywalker. I didn't need all that backstory. Like, yes, it could help, I guess, because we've seen the other movies. I thought the Luke stuff is great, but like, that's not what Luke would do. Well, yeah, it's called fucking character development. You haven't seen the guy for years. He wouldn't kill Ben Solo. He didn't kill Ben Solo. He looked at his hand, and he saw he looked at the lightsaber in his hand, and it reminded him of Return of the Jedi. He almost killed his dad in Return of the Jedi. And then he looked at his hand, and he saw the robot parts in his hand, and he rethought about it. He said, maybe not, you know? Maybe this isn't the move. Maybe I shouldn't kill my father. It's the same thing with Ben Solo. Yoda was a hermit. Yoda went into hiding for the rest of his life. It's a badass end for Luke Skywalker. I will always like The Last Jedi. So that's the tier. There it is. The S tier movies. Infinity War, Endgame, Skyfall, Toy Story 3, The Lion King, the original, Jurassic Park, all three Lord of the Rings movies, and The Dark Knight. That's the tier list for the highest grossing movies of all time. Rise of Skywalker. Whatever, I'll watch it. It's fun. I'm a Star Wars fan, but just like it's such a middle finger. The next tier list we're going to do something different. In the description below, there's a link for movies from the year 2012. You're going to select 5 of your favorite movies from that year, and then I will tier whatever you, the audience, put together as your 50 favorite movies from 10 years ago. And I'm going to tier them. We'll do vote stuff like that here and there. I think we'll do maybe like directors or actors or something, or characters. But next week, so vote below your favorite movies of 2012, and then I will tier a list of everyone's combined 50 favorite movies from that year. As always, hit the subscribe button below. Hit the bell icon to be reminded when we have new videos. Hit the thumbs up. Go to movierankings.net. That is it. We'll talk to you next time.